tuned into Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Hi, hello, how are you? This is James Knowles coming at you for the RBLR Sun podcast. I am here tonight to fill in for Liz as the host, and filling in my duties, I suppose, or his own, stepping in, is our producer, Eureka. Liz is on vacation, so unfortunately for all of the usual listeners, you will have to get your Sun info from myself and from Eureka, but we're going to try to do our best to live up to our usual host and get us some information about how the Sun are doing. I think that anybody who's listening obviously knows that it's not well, but we're going to try and break down why. Eureka, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thank you for letting me play the James position today. We, like the Sun and like Denise, we use our players in multiple different areas. And but what is great that will not go away is we are both cat owners. And so for sure, we will continue to be the Gamebridge Super League's league leading cat content providers.
That's right.
At the very minimum, we might not talk pretty soccer and pretty statistics, but we will probably have a cat on the screen at least once or twice tonight. So
that's all you can ask for, at least from Eureka and myself. So, folks, we are going to talk about the Sun today in quite a few angles. We have to talk about the last game, naturally. We have to talk about the stats, player of the match. We're going to get through that, and then we have to do our preview. Not only all of that, though, there is one pretty exciting piece of news, which we have to get to within the show as well. There is a new player coming to the Tampa Bay Sun. Eureka, please confirm for me. I believe that she'll be available immediately for us to play against Jacksonville.
I believe that this is why they announced it when they did.
Yeah.
Is that I don't have the press release pulled up. I can do better. But I believe that she is available and will be on the roster.
There we go. So yeah, it's positive for us that we will at least have a player available to help us out a little bit more, hopefully coming up this weekend. And we definitely know that we're going to have her back for the second half of the season, but we're going to get into the story of Jordan Fusco afterwards and do our score predictions, talk about the other games around the league, all the usual stuff that we talk about. Eureka, let's start though with where we usually start, which is the last game. I will do the starting 11. Up front were Tosh Flint, Maddie Parsons getting her first start, I'm pretty sure. Sydney Nacello, Sandrine Gaillard, Jordan Listro, and Emma Gaines-Ramos getting not her first start, but her first start in a while. So that was interesting. Mackenzie Pluck, Viv Bissett, Brooke Hendricks, Jordan Zaid were your back line in front of Sydney Schneider. All three goals came after halftime, 2 for Kathy Zimmerman. This is something I heard on the broadcast. I did not realize this. She has scored in all 3 games she has played against us for Brooklyn this season. She was not in the USL Championship. Jeez, what show am I doing? She was not in the USL Super League last season. She has joined this season and obviously joined up with Brooklyn. So now she scored in her first game against us, her second game against us, and 2 goals in her third game against us. She apparently really likes to play against the Sun. The post-game press conference was a bit explosive. We're not going to get into all of the details here, but I will just say, Eureka, they can watch the post-game press conference. Anybody listening can watch that if they go to our social media. Is that correct?
That's right. If you go to at RBLR Sun FC on Instagram is where we post the full comments from. We usually get 2 players and Coach Dean Schulte-Brown. And every week that we are able to get into that press conference, we give you without our commentary, you get it right from the players and right from the coaches. So of course you got to get to at RBLR Sun FC. We're on every social media. If you use it, we're probably there. I know for a fact I'm on a couple that I know only a couple people actively use it, and I would delete the app from my phone if those people didn't get their content from us. So I will do that though. If there's one person on one thing. So Brian, I know you're telling me you're about to get on MySpace or something, I'll create a profile if that's what my pettiness will go lower than yours. So I will be on every platform as long as there's a person that wants RBLR Sun FC content. We will provide that stuff. But it's also a good reason why you should be watching us on YouTube if you're able to do that. We are at RBLR Sports on YouTube, and you can subscribe there. It's free, and you can see not just video of the players and coaches, but of the voices, the disembodied voices that you might be hearing this on Spotify or Apple podcasts or wherever else you are podcasting right now. So, so come on down.
All right. So, Eureka, we've talked about it enough. We didn't necessarily want to get into it, but we do have to talk about this game with Jacksonville from this past weekend. Again, it was a 3-0 loss. For anybody who was there, you were able to take in I don't know, it wasn't a boring first half. It was obviously it was less bad. Let's say that. But we hit the post in this one. I think we hit the crossbar in the first half, and I think in the second half, we hit the post, and it bounced backwards it bounced up and into the hands of the goalkeeper for Sporting JAX. So that was interesting. I have it backwards.
Yes,
it was the post, and the goalkeeper caught it in the first half, and in the second half, we hit the crossbar. So, the woodwork also helping out, obviously, and it's unfortunate on our end. Eureka, I think that obviously the vast majority of my notes are from the second half. Yeah. Do you have anything other than that particular highlight, which is a really, really bad luck? I mean, I don't know how much less lucky you can get to have it hit the post and go right into the keeper's hands, other than recently I did see somebody hit a tick. Geez, let's start that again. Hit a shot that went off of one post, then the other post, and came back out. So that is a possibility, and that might be the only worse option in sports.
I mean, to sum up the first half, we started out with momentum. That was a word that I think Denise Schulte-Brown used a lot in this post game, was momentum. We need momentum. We need goals create, change the game, and they create momentum and things like that. So they came out with a completely different lineup than we've seen in a couple weeks. Some big changes in that lineup, and that lineup was supposed to spark the offense. It was supposed to spark goal creation, and for the first few minutes, we kind of had the game flowing our way. Then it was a gigantic spike in the other way, and Brooklyn sort of, other than a couple other chances that we had at certain points through the half, there were just these long stretches where Brooklyn was the aggressor. They had the ball, and I'm surprised. I mean, at this point, if you're a team that's coming into Tampa, you've seen other teams come in here and get braces and put multiple goals on the net. So, not to say like it was only a matter of time, but I think that even our strong play in certain areas, it didn't discourage the Brooklyn effort. And it, again, we were kind of lucky that we went into the half at 0-0. So to be fair with you, I mean, Brooklyn came to score more goals, just like they've done in the previous. I mean, we've never beaten Brooklyn. So again, it's like you're playing a team that's never beaten you over 2 years. You've won 3 and tied the 3 other games. So, and considering we're in a, it's weird to say we were in bad form over the month, because that's not true. We've been unbeaten for so long, but specifically the last time we played, it wasn't very pretty. And so, and now you're tinkering with a lineup. So you basically, you can't rest on history or what the results of the last 5-6 weeks have been. You have to go with what's going in there today. And the changes didn't really, other than a short period of time in the beginning, it didn't add up to much more than what we've seen in a low scoring effort from the offense. And meanwhile, your defense is pressing and basically trying to clear out dangerous chances for 45 minutes. So that was the first half.
we talked about the first half and we talked about how that went.
Yeah.
Eureka, it started almost immediately in the second half that Brooklyn took over. So 46th minute is when they actually scored their first goal. This was a breakdown originally in possession. We had the ball. It was Emma Gaines Ramos in not within her own defensive third, more in the middle third of the field, but very close to the defensive third for the Tampa Bay Sun. And naturally, that is a very bad place to give the ball away. Not only is it a bad place to give the ball away, but in that specific moment, there was effectively nobody there to help out. I think it was Brooke Hendricks who was still deepest, and Vivian Bissett had gone out wide right, so she was not available to help. They passed it to the player who was where Vivian Bissett would normally be, let's say if we were out of possession. And obviously Hendricks could not help out. She tried to step to the ball, but they cut it right back. And then, Kathy Zimmerman scored. And it was a very deflating way to start the second half. I mean, there's really no other way around that. And then I'll turn it back over to you, Eureka, but I did want to highlight the very next play. I mean, the kickoff after, like, the very next play, Brooklyn played a long ball over the top and Henny got beat very easily. Brooklyn almost scored again. They could have made it 2-0 within the first 2 minutes of this second half starting. And that would have been, well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't have been all that different from where we ended, right? But it was a real shock to the system that this is the way that we are going so early on.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it wasn't. I don't know if I have a different view of the rest of the second half. It's again, we had, if I'm being generous to say, we had 3 dangerous opportunities of momentum in the first half. We maybe had 2 in the second, and that's when we were already down 2 goals by that point. If you look at the heat maps and you look at where the average players are, you see that the Tampa Bay Sun are basically at mid pitch or backwards or towards their goal that they're defending, where Brooklyn are the opposite. The defenders have defended, but all their wing backs, all their center mids, all their attacking forwards are either beyond mid pitch or close to our final third, so they were much more dangerous with the possession that they had, which I think was an issue. I mean, you it's going to sound stupid here, but you have to have the ball to score the goal, and you have to be creating chances with the possessions that you have. And I mean, this is exactly what Denise was telling Coach Schulte Brown was telling us in the post game, right? It's like, we can't create momentum, and we're doing things that are self-inflicted. We're doing things that we can't keep possession because we're passing the ball to the other team in certain instances, right? Or what is the creation? You benched Carly Giamona for like say Ramos was in the lineup for the first time. Maddie Parsons was a starter in this lineup. So you're changing your formation, your people in your formation up top. But I don't know what it added. Like in this particular game, there weren't the opportunities, despite other than a handful of times to do anything with it. So the first half was what it was, and this was even worse medicine than the first dose.
Yeah. I mean, the chance that I just said happened right after that first goal. That ultimately led to the way that Brooklyn played for the next 10, 15 minutes, let's say. It was a lot of long balls over the top, and we were getting beat relatively frequently, I would say. The other issue is something that you just mentioned, Eureka, and I have this in the notes here a little bit afterwards, so I want to get exactly how I wrote it.
Okay.
Where was it? The problem, a big problem is actually that we're just not keeping possession. It's not that we're not looking to do certain things with the ball, but it's that when we get the ball, we cannot keep it. That's what I wrote. So frequently I noticed that Maddie Parsons was staying pretty centrally. Sydney Nacello obviously out wide on one side, and Emma Gaines Ramos out wide on the other side. Tosh Flint was staying a little bit more again as that number 10 kind of role that we saw her in towards the end of last season. It wasn't really as a striker. It was deeper than Maddie Parsons. So my issue watching this was that there really didn't seem to be a lot of options for the players when they got the ball. Sydney Nacello, every time she got the ball, she was surrounded by 3 or 4 players. Now, here's what I want to say in relation to her specifically. Sydney Nacello has been the most active contributor in the attack for both the first season of the Sun, other than Cecilia Flew, I think, and then this half of the season, or excuse me, this second season for the Sun as well. Yeah. So you have to keep that in mind. She's a very good player and she's very capable. I don't think that we're doing her any favors here when she's playing as centrally as she kept ending up, and she had nobody to help her out so frequently. The left back in this case was, I think it was Mackenzie Pluck to start, and then Dory Haugen came on later on, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But nobody was up helping out Sydney Nacello, and she ended up losing the ball over and over in these positions, which at least they were farther away from goal, unlike the original goal that Brooklyn scored from Emma Gaines Ramos giveaway. But on the other side of things, if you're not keeping the ball, you know, what are we doing with it? We're giving it away, and we're just going to have it. If Brooklyn is pumping it right back towards our box, then we're going to have it right back down our throats again. So this is what happened a couple of times with Sydney Nacello. Tosh Flint also was guilty of this. She lost the ball multiple times in the middle of the field. It's a bad place to lose it. It was a place where Brooklyn could look up and see multiple different options if they win it there. And it was, I really wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure where our attacking options were coming from here. We'll get into this a little bit more. I mentioned Flew, but I think that her not being on the field has kind of stifled us a little bit in the attack. We're going to get into that later on, but let's get back to this specific game. So we were not looking particularly well defensively. They were going for several long balls for a while, and we were not doing our proactive defense well. We were not doing our reactive defense all that well, in my opinion, either. Haugen and Giamona came on for Emma Gaines Ramos and Maddie Parsons in the 55th, and in the 59th, we gave up another poor goal, this one off of a corner. I will say that Sydney Schneider slipped in the build-up to this goal, but at the same time, I think that any coach is going to be really upset when you give up a goal specifically the way that happened. I'll turn it over to you, Eureka, but I just think that the bobbling around and the lack of reaction from the defensive side, which was the Sun, everybody who's back in the 6-yard box effectively, really, really disappointing for me.
It's been the story of the season so far, though. Our defense has been I have opinions about how our defense was last year, but we were scoring goals and sort of winning, and that cures a lot of the ails. When we made our roster decisions, a lot of the defensive core is the same defensive core we had last year, especially on the back line. And we had a rotating cast of goalkeepers last year, who's in, who's out, who's in, who's out. And I mean, I'm not saying we should change goalkeeper, but some of the goals haven't been her fault. But the scenario you just described, like sometimes she gets caught in a position, but the defense in front of her, I don't think is doing her a lot of favors, I guess is what I want to say, is that this isn't all on Sydney Schneider. Like she's demonstrated herself to be a capable goalkeeper. It would help if there were a number of people ahead of her that could stop a lot of the dribbling or a lot of the passing or a lot that was going on. Like if you look at the shot map, you mean a lot of it's a tale of two completely different offensive mindsets. If you look at our shot map, literally more than a half dozen of our shots are beyond the top line of the final third. Like, I mean, there's a couple that are not too far off of mid pitch that are actual shots. One of which made it on target from just outside where like a free kick would be. Conversely, most of their shots are at the penalty spot or around it for Brooklyn. And whether that's a dispossession in the box or a rebound or a play that like, I mean, they were drilling these like crosses that they were able to do multiple times in this game. They're just on the ground crosses. A number of these things are happening where the opportunities that Schneider's having to defend are very high XG for the offensive things.
If you're taking a shot within the 6-yard box, you got a pretty good chance.
I mean, yeah, it just I mean, just if you look at the shot map, most of them are like I said, at the penalty spot. Where ours, we have total 2 shots on target inside of the box, and then we had 4 other shots that were on target that were outside of the entire penalty box. Where they're 13 shots on target, most of them were inside of the box, and they have 1 or 2 that I see that were outside from distance. So we were spraying and praying from deep, and they were penetrating our box and putting a lot of shots on net, some of which were saved, and 3 of them were not. And I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of it's a stark way of looking at it, but that was what happened. So I don't there's no way to sugarcoat that or spin it in a different way. Like, bad defense led to good shot opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping up with that theme, immediately after this goal was scored, Brooklyn could have scored again. It was very poor immediately after, in the 59th minute from that goal. They had a bad pass out of the back from Brooke Hendricks, and they could have knocked it in. So this is where I noted again that we were not maintaining possession, and this comes from I think a Natasha Flint turnover there. 3 subs in the 65th minute, following all of this negative work on both the defensive and attacking side of things, and then in the 62nd minute, they scored again after we effectively left them wide open in acres of space down their right side, our left side, and right under the camera. So. Yeah, it was really hard to see. It was almost it looked to me like it was almost slow motion. It was really disheartening. It was just so difficult that they were wide open on the right side. I'm not sure. I think Dory Haugen had come in by this point, so I'm not sure where she was when the play started, but she was not where she needed to be, obviously, where the moment when they started their buildup, and then it went back into the center and it got cut back again out to the right side, where you're in this position and you're sprinting out to your left side to try and make up the space that you've lost. Then the ball goes back into the middle, so you have to run back there. And as you're already starting from a more middle position, when they play it back out to the right, then you haven't really filled in all that space, and there's a lot of room on the right side. Kathy Zimmerman gets her second goal of the game. So this one, it almost seemed like our defense was just so disorganized that Brooklyn could take advantage of this. And it's not even a case of I don't remember exactly where the play started. I don't remember if it was the case of another giveaway, but it was a bad. Eureka, if you have that in your notes, let us know. But it was a bad play to give up a goal here, because we were all over the place, and there was really poor organization for us to try and react towards anything that Brooklyn had coming for us.
Yeah, this game, more so than others in the last 8 weeks, the individuality was on display instead of a team defensive effort. Like, whether that's, and I don't know if that's, I think you're also pressing, right? Like they're playing hard, but it's like you want to make a play, but you might overextend yourself, or you just get beat, and now other people have to collapse and move over, and and then that creates another hole, and so on and so forth in your line. But it did seem like either players are trying to make good plays or something, or they're just getting caught out of position. But it just wasn't as uniform. It wasn't as a conducive collective unit, I guess is what I want to say, that we've seen. I mean, we've been through some low scoring dogfights this season, so I know it's in us. Especially that run of unbeaten, there were a lot of times. It's just now, again, I can only rely on what like the coaches and the players are willing to share with us, right? And so in this particular instance, what I think is valuable to know is like, Coach Schulte Brown was saying like, I lost my train of thought. Specific on this, it's just that like they're not getting into the mentality that she wants them to get into until they're already down a goal.
Yes.
I was trying to put that exactly the way that she said it to us, but she, I think, is exasperated that when we're down 2 goals, now we kick in, and now we're playing with extra heart, and now we're fighting our tooth and nail, and now we're getting chippy, and now, like that I think is what the main takeaway that I got out of the specific thing she was saying about the players is like, I think she wishes, and I wish, that from the beginning of the game, from minute 1, that they're playing the same way they play when they're down a bunch of goals. But also when they're down a bunch of goals, you're pressing harder, and you get caught out of position, and that's become a 3rd goal in this instance. So it was sort of like, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, with the current situation that they have.
At times it turned out to be that way, which is obviously a real indictment of the way that the whole game went. But
it's hard to talk about all this. Like, we're running through this. It's like, but where's the silver lining? And in the last 2 weeks, there hasn't been one.
No, certainly not. Certainly not in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that was the 3 goals, and we had those 2 chances that I mentioned earlier that came off the woodwork. Could have gone in. The luck was against us, and they were not. But despite that, the defensive side of things, I don't think we would have won this game, even if, let's say, just on the other side, that both of those had gone in. I'm not sure that we could have won this one. In stoppage time, even, I had a note for myself that they absolutely cut through us like butter. And Brooke Hendricks was actually on the goal line to head it out. Otherwise, it would have been 4-0. And 4-0 is definitely worse than 3-0. I think that, 3-0 does stand out when you see it on a scoreline. You're like, wow, that's pretty bad. I think in soccer, if you see 4-0, that's a completely different level. So let's just, I guess, be happy that one did not go in. But yeah, it was right through us there. So we'll talk about a little bit more about the post-game press conference here. And I just wanted to leave a note at the end. I think it's wrong to say that the team is complacent or anything like that following their trophy win last season. Right. I want to point out that players do not get to this level when they are not kind of psychopathic in their want to win. That's like, there are famous stories about the best players being this or that crazy about things. Like Michael Jordan was couldn't let it go if he lost a ping pong game or something like that. So the professional athletes are the ones that are professional because they're kind of a little off. They are so focused on winning that they've made themselves into this
effort
player.
Effort isn't an issue. Like,
exactly.
That box is already checked because you're here. You're here.
I don't want to say that, and I don't think if anybody is saying that they're correct.
Right.
But at the same time, with all of that out of the way, I do think that there is some type of mentality issue here. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know if there's a lack of confidence that seemed to come through in this game, which seems weird because we had only lost to Sporting JAX recently, and before that, it wasn't a good run, to be sure, but it wasn't a bad run. So I don't know if it's the confidence. I don't know if there is. I don't know if there is any type of mistrust or something in tactics or individual players. I really we don't have that information, obviously, but it does seem like there is some type of mentality problem, because there were a lot of moments in this game that we were on the wrong side of things. And by the wrong side of things, I don't mean the wrong side of luck. I mean, we were on the wrong side of the ball. We were on the wrong side of the player. We were third goal, wrong side of the field, wrong side of the field. So that's, you don't see that. You don't just usually see that.
Yeah, there's a missing piece. There's a missing thing that I think Coach Schulte Brown has been trying to tinker with and trying to put it together, but we haven't seen, like, we've I don't want to get big picture yet, because I know we're gonna get there in a minute, but like these aren't new problems. They just haven't been losses on the column until now.
Yeah. That's exactly it. So when we got into the press conference, we spoke with two players, and then we spoke with Coach Denise Schulte Brown separately. That was interesting. That's not usually how they do it for us, but this
was a brand new format where we normally get them all at once. And kudos to the communication staff. I think this was a better way of doing it. It's a way that we've seen it in other organizations, where we can kind of divert all of our time and energy, and the other two people don't have to just sit there and wait for their turn to be asked a question.
Right. And I don't know if it led to people speaking a little more honestly or not, but at times we were able to, I think, get answers that were a little more frank from Denise Schulte Brown. She said that certain players had given up certain parts of their game. And I mean, Eureka and I have talked about that. Vivian Bissett was one of the players she named, and we're not trying to do anything. I don't know. We're not trying to be outrageous with this take or anything. It's on, you can go watch the press conference again on our social medias, by the way, go do that. But she said that Vivian Bissett had several giveaways. That's obviously true. We noted a couple of other giveaways in this game that were very poor, from Brooke Hendricks, from Emma Gaines Ramos, from I'm forgetting who. Well, I believe that there was a bad pass out of the back from Sydney
Nacello's given up. Sydney Nacello's given up the ball a couple times. Like, it's kind of just happening throughout the roster right now.
So it's not really even all that outrageous from her to say that it is the case, but I will just point out that I think that it was a very poor game, and anybody could see that, but we did get a little bit more frank responses, I will say, in the post-game press conference. So Eureka, what are your other takeaways before we get to, like you said, the bigger picture of it all?
Yeah, in this particular match, it's just that the home field advantage or whatnot that you want to say is just it isn't there. I think other teams aren't scared to come play the Sun, and especially aren't scared to come to Big Jim and play the Sun. The mystique is not there because, a good quarter or more of the team that was here last year isn't on the pitch this year, and the people that are there haven't created their own. They haven't added to the mystique, or they haven't added to the record yet in a completely positive way. So we'll that's just what I feel. We're one game away from the break, but I think Denise Schulte Brown also believes that this is not the time to rest on your laurels, not the time to rest on your medals and your accomplishments, and to say, like, there are a lot of things that need to be changed or tweaked.
Exactly.
And like you said, her tone. I mean, losing every loss is bad. This one in particular, the clear message was sent that, like, they're not sitting back and taking it lightly. They don't think they're better than their record or whatever you want to say. Like, that kind of talk isn't available right now. Like, the silver linings have run their course. The excuses that we may have legitimately had in the beginning of the season, injuries for sure, big to get things started. Now that we are this far along in the season, if things don't change and aren't, whether that's a player coming in or a player's, she said it herself, playing time is it might be changed. There might be players who don't play as much as they have in the past, and there might be players, but the players that get the opportunity have to fill in, and they have to change this mentality. They have to change this mindset. They have to change the process that hopefully will end up with better result.
Yeah. Something obviously will need to change. As the phrase goes, something's got to give, right?
Yeah.
That's how it was.
Or we'll just keep having this, and we'll pray for ties and suffer some losses. And it's not a very positive way to look at it, but that's the results we've had so far. And if nothing changes, the definition of insanity, so on and so forth.
Right. Eureka, I feel like it would be a good time to do player of the match, and then we can say what we think is kind of like the more overall, the bigger picture, as you said.
Absolutely.
For me, the player of the match was Ava Tankersley, and that's because she came on and she offered just a spark of energy that we weren't seeing for most. I mean, you could count anybody who played in the first half and didn't play as much in the second half.
Yeah.
That would be Emma Gaines Ramos, but she had the bad giveaway. I went with Ava Tankersley, who came on more towards the end of the second half and just actually tried to go and do things, tried to unsettle Brooklyn a lot more than I felt I saw previously. So that was my choice.
All right. In my, I'm a stat nerd, and so I think there were 4 players that had a better than their average performance in this game. And so the person that I'm going to single out the most is Jordan Listro. I have been with her in our chat or a couple times on here. Again, I've been talking about defense, and that defense is quarterbacked by our captain, and that defense is not doing so well right now. But in this particular game, I thought that Jordan Listro had her best game of the season, if not, which is it's kind of indicative of where the season's gone. But I believe this was her best, whether it's creating in the midfield on offense and getting the couple chances that we had, but more importantly, like, she was getting in the tackles and she was fighting with the refs when it got pitch, when the pitch it got really chippy. We haven't really talked about that, but teams are not scared. They get physical with us. They don't care that like, we're not a gritty team. Like, we're not going to, like last year we had a couple games where there were probably about to be fights, especially in like Fort Lauderdale and things like that. But in this instance, I think teams they're bringing their A game, because it's quote unquote, we're playing the champs this week. So we're not getting anyone's C+ efforts. And I think Jordan had herself one of the better games that she's had all year across the pitch on both sides of the ball. So she was my player of the match.
Fair enough. Those are our 2 players, Jordan Listro, Ava Tankersley, Eureka. Let's get into that bigger picture now. So I hinted at this previously. I think what we were doing a lot in this game is not completely indicative. We have played multiple different ways. We have played multiple different players over the course of this 6-month stretch. That is the first half of this second season. A lot of firsts and seconds in there that I have to keep in order. But yes, this is interesting for me. This past game was interesting for me to see our lack of real attacking bite. Maddie Parsons was brought in to add to that, and I think that she has brought in a little bit more energy. But the problem for me is that we ultimately really don't have too many people that are either keeping the field very wide or trying to get in behind the defense. So last year, bring it back to Cecilia Flew. She was our leading goal scorer and obviously a very important player. One of the things that she did for us was she offered an incredible speed, an incredible pace that I don't think anybody on our team has, even if we're going with the fastest player, which maybe, I don't know if this is correct, but might be Jordan Zaid. Jordan Zaid was pushed up this past game on the right wing, And it seemed like she was asked to get wide and get high and get the ball back into the box. She didn't do a ton of that, and certainly not enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we really didn't have much of anything without that, honestly. Sydney Nacello, like I said, kept getting bogged down, and that's because Sydney Nacello is not the fastest player. She is very, very tricky, and she's extremely good at keeping the ball. She is very press resistant, but how many people are going to keep the ball with 3 or 4 players around them? Let's be real here.
Well,
Even if you're Sydney Nacello, that's extremely difficult to do. So she kept getting bogged down, cutting back into the middle. And the reason that she cuts back into the middle is because she doesn't have the biggest foot on her. So by that, I mean, she doesn't have a cross where she can be on the touch line and then cross it back and hit the penalty spot, right? Yeah. So that's something that's harder for her to do. And she likes to get closer and beat a couple of players and maybe have one little back pass, a pass to somebody at the penalty spot, not a cross from actually out on the wing. So when we don't have anybody getting up and getting high on either side, I really think that that's cutting us off here. Cecilia Flew not only got high and wide a lot, but she also had the pace that we could just put it over the back line of pretty much any defensive unit that we played, and she would be able to go and win it. We don't have that right now. Sydney Nacello, like I said, I don't think she's the fastest player out there. Maddie Parsons is not the fastest player out there. Natasha Flint hasn't been playing as a striker so much. Ava Tankersley probably does have more pace than those three. We would need to see more of her specifically doing this type of task. And then Jordan Zaid, I think, could do it too. But she has been injured at different points over the course of this season as well. So these are a couple of different problems that I saw. We don't have anybody helping Sydney Nacello to open up that width on her side, which was the left side. Jordan Zaid, like I said, playing as the right winger this time. She needs to do more of this, but we don't have anybody really putting ourselves in good positions. Nobody is getting into the positions that Brooklyn kept getting into this whole game. And like I said, this whole game is not indicative of the last 6 months, but there are patterns within it that do stretch over that time frame.
Yeah, I mean, conversely, to devil's advocate for Jordan Zaid is like, well, she also has to sprint down the field and become the right back on defense, which she's spending way more energy being bogged down in our final third defending. And then now that you're on a breakaway, now you have to sprint the length of the pitch in order to get into a wide position. And then, or say Nacello has the ball in the forbidden corner, right, where the cameras don't go. And then, so now you've beaten a person and you're like, dribble, who's in the box? Who's coming to get us? Who's coming up? When you had, this was saying there's something missing, and I think one of those things that's missing is a dynamic number 9, like someone who's being able to be maybe at the top of the box or in the middle field to either receive from Nacello or create on their own. And we've seen players get auditioned in that role. In this particular game, there was Carly Giamona did not start this game. She came in the 55th. After a bunch of nothing had happened in the first half. And then we were down a goal, right? So we've been hoping and praying that like either on the aggregate, we would get the play that we were losing from a world-class player in Cecilia Flew. And we just haven't. What we found was there's a big hole that unfortunately none of the players have been able to fill, or we haven't come up with a different tactic or a different role with the players that we do have. But again,
right,
I've been crying out loud for a dynamic playmaker to alleviate some of the pressure off of Sydney Nacello. Because like you said earlier, you just put 2-3 people on. I mean, literally, you could put 2-3 people on her,
and Brooklyn did that.
And they do. That's what everyone's doing. It's like, oh, well, that's the one threat we have to worry about. And then, unfortunately, in this game, the other threat that has been working was injured. So you had Sabrina McNeil, right? Am I wrong about that? Yeah, who was?
Yeah, she was injured.
Yeah, McNeil was injured, and she's been in her minutes. We played her back, and it wasn't really working in the back. Then when they moved her front, she's been really solid on that wing. So unfortunately, we didn't have all of the firepower we needed, and we don't. But all season long, we haven't had the firepower up front that we were expecting.
Yeah. And then the other side of things, unfortunately, was in this game, like the last one against Sporting JAX, or the prior one against Sporting JAX, we also gave up everything on the defensive side. And that was a difference. That's not something that we had seen before. But yeah, we got cut apart on this one multiple times. And I want to highlight Brooklyn is not the best team in this league. Sporting JAX aren't the best team in this league, but they are doing extremely well, and they're putting everything together right now. They're actually looking to try to take over the first place in this league. Brooklyn were closer to us, so that's another indictment of where we were defensively, in particular, on this game. Getting carved up over and over, unfortunately, and just having the ball kicked over our heads multiple times too. Eureka, you need to.
Sorry, I'm holding the cat. Yeah, he's right here. Hello, Ebor. So with this, like we've said, defensively, it's been bad. Do you think it's? I mean, it's a ultimately, it is a combination of all of the things. But what is the thing you think we can fix the quickest, or what's the tweak that we can make now going forward? Because it's just not working. We're getting scored on a lot, and it's also making it where our offense isn't getting any chances because we're on our heels, unfortunately, for a lot of time.
Yeah, and everybody wants answers, obviously, and I understand.
Yeah, we don't have to have the answer, but I don't know if you had seen the other than just because I know people out there are looking at the result and they just go, well, I want the result to be different. And it's like, well, that if that were the case, we would hit the defensive button and it would change. Right. But specifically, like whether it's I was thinking a pressing mentality on an individual basis has been sort of an Achilles heel in the last couple instances, but also because of the not being able to dispossess the other team or not being able to get the ball and start a run has been another issue. I was seeing, is there any specific issues that you think that this either if it's a tactical thing or if it's we don't have the right pieces on the field to do the thing that we need to do?
Well, the first thing is we need to get, in my opinion, and this is going to be some recency bias, so people might be able to dismiss it with that grain of salt, what have you. But we need to get more width. We need to get more attacking width for sure. Okay. Attacking width is going to be important because that keeps other teams honest as well. Okay. Brooklyn didn't necessarily do this, but I feel like a lot of teams could just push up to the halfway line and try to defend us there.
Yeah.
Even if we put it over their heads, who's going to be the one to chase it down? We don't have that top line speed for somebody to go and do that. So we need somebody on the field who's going to be able to keep the opposition defense honest. And I'm not sure that we have that right now. So the good news, and this is where I was taking us generally, we'll get to the new signing, but the transfer window is opening up in a lot of places around the world. So obviously the USL Championship I did it again. The USL Super League. The USL Super League is going to be looking to do stuff, and that's not just going to be the Sun. Other teams are going to be making moves too. But the Sun have already brought a player in, and they're going to definitely look to do some more.
Let's just get to it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do that then. The next game this weekend is away to Sporting JAX in Jacksonville. So, let's get into this one. Obviously, we have not had the best record so far against Sporting JAX, and our last game, unfortunately, as I'm sure everyone listening knows, 2 games ago, we lost at home to Sporting JAX in the absolute pouring rain. there was a band of rain across Florida that was probably less than a mile wide, but it stayed over. It stayed over specifically Tampa Bay and that stadium the whole time. I really, it was crazy to watch on radar, and obviously from the rainy stands that we were in. Either way, that's what it was like. Apparently this weekend it will not be raining like that, but it will be pretty cold. So whatever, those are the conditions. As long as it's not lightning, then we should be able to play. Sporting Jacks are doing really well. As I said previously, they are working their way up the table, and I believe they are second right now. I will just double check myself. I want to get the points correct. But yeah, they are working their way up the table, and they are going to be, let's see, pushing to try and overtake Lexington, who are in first. Lexington come on, here we go. Should have had this pulled up, so I apologize for everybody who's listening. But Lexington are in first with 23 points. Sporting Jacks are in second with 22 points. There we go. So obviously very close there, and I think that Sporting Jacks are going to fancy their chances, as they say. The next game for Lexington as well. They play away at Dallas on Saturday. They will play in the middle of the day, and our game starts at 5 o'clock. Okay. So actually, in fact, Sporting Jacks will know what they need to do effectively if they want to take over first, provided that Lexington haven't won. And this is all another side to this is Ashlyn Puerta, one of the best players across the whole league. She was out injured for a game, I think 2 games. Yeah. She missed our 3-0 loss to Sporting Jacks. But last week she came on as a substitute. So effectively, Ashlyn Puerta is back. She may start. We don't know exactly what her fitness is like at this point, but we should absolutely expect her to be a threat over the course of this game. So how are we going to counter that? Well, one thing that we need to highlight, hopefully, Jordan Fusco, new loan signing from San Diego Wave. She will be able to give us a little bit more firepower. Eureka, let's get into Jordan Fusco a little bit. Let's talk about her background.
Yeah, she's coming on loan from the NWSL San Diego Wave. I like this signing. I mean, I again, we know kind of. I think we've been missing someone that's a creative. Maybe not. They don't have to be a playmaker, but they have to be a facilitator, right? In my mind, is we need a number 9, right? And so you bring her in, and that's kind of what I see from when she only had in her rookie season last year. She did get playoff minutes in their playoff in their match, but basically I can only go back and look at her college years and her rookie year, and then she's had a few appearances this year. But she's the kind of creative facilitator that I'm picking up. I could be absolutely wrong in this, and so but big time assist numbers in college. She's an attacking midfielder. She's been in big games in the playoffs, the NCAA tournament, the NWSL playoffs as a rookie. She can score, but she hasn't done it in limited NWSL action. And but on this team, instead of being in San Diego, which I believe she was behind some top class players there, on this team, I think she's going to get an opportunity to, and she'll be asked to be an offensive person who either facilitates out to the from the middle or puts it on the net, which is what we need. From what I can gather, people talk about she's got a boot on her. She's got a high velocity shot, and she's not afraid to take people on one-on-one in the top of the box. So that's my very cursory scouting report on her, but she kind of fits the bill on someone I've been asking this team to bring in. So I dig it. Let's give her some minutes. Let's hope that piece unlocks the rest of the talent that we know this team has. So
yeah, we were just talking about the lack of options in the attack in terms of again, keeping opposing defenses honest. The defense for Sporting JAX was actually the most suspect part of their team for me for a little while, as noted by their results. That has improved. They have gotten better, but they are still vulnerable. And if we put players in the right places, if we get some players doing the right things in the right places, I think that they can be made vulnerable once again. So I'm hopeful that whether it's Fusco or Flint or whoever else that we have out there, hopefully they can keep Sporting JAX a little bit more scared, and they don't want to push up. They need to stay back, keep their space, all that good stuff, and that way they're not quite as dangerous when they're all moving forward together as a unit, like we saw Brooklyn do multiple times. Is there anything else, Eureka, that we want to highlight before we do the score predictions?
Ashton Puerta, I just looked at the game notes that the median gave out. She is not on their player availability. She's not questionable. She will be in action, and I believe with no delay, I think she'll be back in the starting 11. So other than that, if you take a look at them, I mean, we just saw them hang 3 goals on us 14 days ago, but they have 4 players, they have 5 players with Ashton Puerta. They're not just the Ashton Puerta show, right? And so Julia Lester is a top offensive player. Sophie Bowman, Meg Hughes, these are players that have been able to play very, very good offense for them. Defensively, though, they don't have a lot of like big time defenders. I think that this is a game that if an offense is capable of creating more than a handful of chances, Jacksonville will bleed. They're not unstoppable.
Exactly.
They're not. I mean, like I said, we just saw them put 3-0 on us, but in that game, in the pouring rain, there were a couple of opportunities that we were able to create. And so I just think if we just have a little bit of an unlocking of this offense, then we have a shot in this game. And I know that might sound crazy to say like, well, they just beat us 3-0, but again, if those 3 goals were bangers from good offensive players. And so the other side is if we keep playing bad defense, if we keep giving them opportunities inside of our box, they will absolutely hang 4 or more goals on this team. Like that's a possibility too. But like you said earlier, it isn't lack of trying. It isn't effort is not the issue. So put in good effort. A couple flips of the coin go our way. This could be a not just a point earned. We could possibly, upset the apple cart a little bit. So,
yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's do our score predictions here.
Okay.
I will start with Liz. She was able to give us a score prediction, and generally, while I am the pessimist, it was actually Liz this week. 2-1 loss was her prediction.
That's where we're at right now, James. Our most pessimistic person on the staff is like 2-1 loss.
Yeah, I hate to see it that way, but obviously, she's the one that went with the prediction, and actually, she's the one that went with the only one that went with the loss prediction so far. So, Eureka, I put mine in earlier, so I just want to put that out there. But I'll let you go with your score prediction first.
If you've been James is the only person that's seen it. I'm sure he's been watching me change my prediction back and forth. I am going with a 1-1 draw, and I think we'll be very happy with that result. I think it would be too optimistic to say, well, we added 1 player and everything will change and our defense will get great. And gosh darn it, just everything's going to be so much better than we've seen in the last couple months on both sides of the ball. But I think that we can limit them and we can put 1 in the net finally. And I think we can earn a point on the road. And I think we would be very happy with a brand new piece that comes in and plays a little bit. We feel better about gelling and things like that as we come back from the break.
Yeah. I have also gone with a 1-1 draw here. Not for all of the same reasons, but I do think that at the very least, we have got to get something in before we go into this break. That is a very big one. Eureka said it. That is a very big one. It is very important. We can't just go in there and we look terrible. People are gonna not know what January is looking like. So I would like us to get at least a draw on the road here. With that said, let's get into the other games from this past weekend. Lexington, top with 23 points. Jacksonville are second with 22 points. Dallas and Carolina each have 19 points, while Fort Lauderdale United have 18 points. Lexington, that is obviously the standings after this past weekend, but the games themselves, Lexington drew 2-2 at home, against DC Power, who are on the road. Gianna Gorley scored the double for the visitors. Good enough for her. Dallas at home against Carolina, 1-0. Lexi Missimo is back, and she scored the goal for Dallas.
Of course she did.
Yeah, not terribly surprising there. Jacksonville drew at home with Fluted 1-1. Like I said, Puerta is back, although she did not get the goal for Sporting Jax. So those were the last results. And as I said, right now we're still bottom of the league. Lexington, Jax, Dallas, Carolina, they're all pretty far away from us at the moment. They're playing against each other. But we need to have something good going into this winter break. That's my feeling, is that letting that go is going to be very bad for us anyway. So yeah. I would like us to if it comes down to us just being scrappy on the field and pushing Jackson around, let's do that, man. Let's get something out of this one. We've got to remind fans and players on other teams around this league that we're still here. We're still good, and we're going to be back.
Yeah. To me, that is the key element, because you're going to have to simmer on this 2 losses and whatever this is for the next weeks. But I also, I don't want to sound the alarms here, but like, I think every player needs to know that, like, there will be changes. And will you be, we saw this last year. This is not new. We brought in a lot of these players from the college ranks.
Yep.
They're with the open window, with all these things, there are opportunities for players around the world to come and play right now for the Tampa Bay Sun. So if you're already on this roster, if you were holding back, or you were thinking that there was a little more you had to give, or a different thing that you wanted to try, now is the time to do it, because your job might depend on it. Right? See, my kid agrees with me. So my little 4-year-old is happy. So, but and I mean this in a positive way, because it's just that competition breeds a better skill level across the board. And so if the players that are here haven't quite reached that potential that we think we should have, I don't think they'll be shy about bringing even more players in to challenge for spots on this roster. But you have one more opportunity. You have this opportunity. You're not that far away from home. It's your friends and family can still come to this game, and they can use this motivation to cement their spot on this team and cement that they are part of the solution when we inevitably get back to a successful run. So in an optimistic way, that's what I'm saying, is like, memento mori, know that you are know that that you are human, and there will be an end, but now is the time to seize the day. So I hope that they do that. I don't look at the roster, and I don't look at a bunch of players that I'm like, not so good. That's not a good player. Why is this person on the team? Quite the opposite. It's like, we know they're talented. It just hasn't worked in the configurations and the opportunities and the spots that have happened. It just hasn't clicked yet. And that's what they tell us to a person, whether on a camera or off a camera. Every player, every coach that we talk to, they tell us, like, we all get along in the locker room. And usually that translates to on-field performance. So, like, they all get along. They're having a great time playing with each other. They're all obviously talented individuals who've earned their spot as a professional. It's just, we need the pieces to fit. And so right now, unfortunately, there will be more pieces. We're going to dig in the box. We're going to find more puzzle pieces until we unearth something that the results start changing with the process. So
yeah, I agree.
So.
All right. I think that about wraps it up for us. Eureka, what else do we have, if anything, for this episode?
No, we will be here every week, but again, if you've lasted this long through this episode, we really, really appreciate each and every one of you that return every week with your comments and your suggestions and your feedback. We love it. We love it. We love it. If you're a brand new person and you've just got your fill of the Tampa Bay Sun today from James and I, how you can thank us is by hitting the subscribe button on YouTube. It's free and it's right there, and it makes sure that you can get all of the Sun, but also all of the other content. If any of the other professional sports and even the USF Bulls now we cover here at RBLR, whether that's on YouTube or Spotify or Google Podcasts, wherever, we're on social media at RBLR Sports and at RBLR Sun FC, across everything. Anytime you hit the like button, anytime you hit the follow button, and especially every time you hit you drop a comment on something, that engagement really helps other new fans get us in their feed and things like that. So thank you to everyone who does that. James, it's crazy to say the thousands of people that follow us across all of our platforms on social media just for the Sun. I can't, from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank them enough that they like what we're doing, and we want to give them as much more as we can. So help a new person maybe find what we're doing and spread the word.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. You have your marching orders from our producer, Eureka. Go follow them. Follow him blindly, just like we all do.
Yes. That's the key message here.
And we will see you next week, hopefully after a good result against a close rival from the state of Florida. But thank you everyone for tuning in. If you would like to get at us, you can always follow us, obviously, on all the social medias and everything. I am mostly on Twitter at RBLR James K. What about you?
I am everywhere at Eureka RBLR. My Denver Nuggets are rising up the top of the table in the National Basketball Association. So if you're an NBA junkie and you don't have a team yet, or if you're getting new into the NBA, I should say, you don't have a team yet, the Denver Nuggets should be your team because we have the greatest player in the league, Nikola Jokic. It was just what we affectionately call Jokmas. It was the celebration of the day he finally got into the starting lineup all those years ago, and he rose from unheralded international draft pick to now multiple MVP of the league and champion, brought the first championship of our franchise. And so hop on the train. You could still get on. Come on. They're fun. They play team basketball. They're amazing.
And to be fair, they are not Orlando. So
they're not Orlando. Yes. They come to Orlando though pretty quickly.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Come on, you Sun.
Let's go, the Sun.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.